Thank you, Gloria, and hello and welcome to this session. I'm happy to see you all here with me today to talk about accessibility. I'm going to share my computer screen so that we can begin the session today. All right, so we're ready to get started. Before I begin, I will talk about some terminology that you will hear me discuss throughout this presentation. Number one is accessibility, and we want to make sure that we ensure access to all of the activities, all of the course materials, etc. in our courses. You may hear me use the phrase screen reader. This is a text-to-speech program that's typically used by students who are blind or visually impaired. And usability means ease of use. I am a person who stutters, so you may hear some blocks or some repetitions in this session, but if you give it a minute, then you will get used to it. So in the chat, let me know, what do you currently know about creating accessible content? What do you currently know about creating accessible course content? You can enter that information in the chat. All right, we have use an accessibility checker in Office. That's great. Adding transcripts to videos, captions and transcripts, that's important. We will talk about this in the session. It's the right thing to do and it's the law. Great. Pay attention to font and layout. Make sure they can be seen from the board. Great, Hannah. Kelly mentioned making sure that documents can work with screen readers, that we have captions and transcripts. Yes, checking at a minimum. Great. So I'm not sure we need to continue with this session because I think you all have it all covered, including alt text for images. All right. So here at the CTE, we do have some quality standards for online courses, also known as QSOC. And I will go through the items that we have for the quality standards for online courses in regards to accessibility and usability. If you jot down this URL here, https://tinyurl.com/CTE-QSOC 2023, you will have access to all of the quality standards for online courses that we have. But I'm going to talk about the accessibility and usability part of the standards. So some general accessibility techniques that we wanted to pay attention to is when we have Word documents, we want our font size to be at least 12 points. When we have PowerPoint presentations, we want our font size to be at least 24 points. The most accessible font type for reading online are sans serif font types. And those include font types like Arial, Helvetica, Calibri. Those sans serif font types, those are the most accessible font types for reading online. We also want to avoid adding underline to text. That can be mistaken as a hyperlink. So we don't want to underline text because that can be mistaken as an hyperlink. We want to make sure that our course is easy to navigate. We want to make sure that students are able to access our course materials. We don't want them to have to fish through our course in order to find the course materials. We want to avoid blinking and flashing animation that can be triggering for some people. We want to include page numbers. Best practice is to include page numbers at the top of the page. When we create Word documents, we want to use the built-in headings feature that is there within the tool. I know sometimes we like to go through and bold different things or italicize different things in order to have a heading, to show that something is a heading. But we want to use the built-in headings feature that's within Microsoft Word. There will only be one heading level 1 in your document, and then you may have subheadings, heading level 2, heading level 3, etc. Headings allow a screen reader user to maneuver through your document. So instead of having to go through your entire document to find certain sections, they can pull up a list of headings and go directly to that particular part of your document. When you create headings, you can view them in the navigation pane. If you go to Review, Check Accessibility, Navigation pane, then you will be able to see your headings. You can also go to View Navigation pane, and I will show you this later on in this presentation. The image on the right shows you how the navigation pane looks. And as I mentioned, you students with and without disabilities, when you use headings, can maneuver through the document. When we have images, we want to make sure that we include alternative text on that image. And you will ask yourself, how would I describe this image to someone who is blind or visually impaired? You want to do this within 1 to 2 sentences. If a screen reader user accesses the image, it will read out the alternative text that you include. If your image does not have a meaning and it's purely decorative, then you can select Mark as decorative. And it will not be read by a screen reader. So whenever you have any pictures, whether it's in PowerPoint, whether it's in Word, Blackboard, you want to add alternative text to that image so that a screen reader user will know the content of that picture. We also want to make sure that we have meaningful hyperlinks. How many of you have seen hyperlinks that say click here or read more? Let me know in the chat if you've seen hyperlinks that have said click here, read more. All the time, yes. So we want to avoid that because a screen reader user, when they access your hyperlink, will have no clue what they're reading more about or what they're clicking here about. Also, we want to have a meaningful hyperlink which describes what the hyperlink is. So instead of having long hyperlinks as well, which will be read by a screen reader, we want to have the meaningful hyperlink, meaningful text that describes what the hyperlink is. If you think someone may be printing out your document as well as reading it online, you can include the hyperlink, but don't have it as a hyperlink, rather have it as plain text. When we have tables, we want to make sure that header row is selected and that repeat header row is selected. If we have a table that is more than one page, then the header row will appear on each page. So when we select header row and we select repeat header row, if we have a table that expounds more than one page, then the header row will be included on each page. And I'll show you this in a bit once we get to the actual showcasing of this information. We want to make sure that we use the pre-formatted bullets and lists feature that's already built into Word, PowerPoint, Blackboard. So we don't want to add our own numbers. We don't want to manually put in numbers. We don't want to manually put in symbols. But we want to go ahead and use that pre-formatted bullets and lists. Use that's already built in to the system. We do not want to use color alone to convey messages, like everything in red is due on Friday. One of your students may be colorblind, or someone may print out the information and they may not have a color printer. So we do not want to use color alone to convey messages. We're going to move on to PowerPoint next, but I just want to pause to see if there are any questions regarding accessibility in regards to Word. And as I mentioned, I will pull up a Word document soon, and we will kind of go through some of these things to show you how to do it. All right, so when we have PowerPoint, we want to use, if all possible, the built-in slides that we already have in PowerPoint. They are already accessible. in terms of the reading order of content. But if you decide that you don't want to use the layouts that are built in, or if you add additional text boxes, images, then you're going to want to check the reading order of your PowerPoint items. And this is under the Check Accessibility Reading Order pane. So I'm going to check the reading order of the items on PowerPoint presentations. We also want to have unique slide titles so that individuals with screen readers will know the content within that slide. If you do not want to include a slide title because it may not fit with your presentation, then you can include an invisible slide title that a screen reader user can access, but it won't have an impact on the contents of your slide. We want to avoid writing in all capital letters. It can be seen as yelling, and it can be hard to read. So we want to avoid writing in all capital letters. Someone mentioned earlier the accessibility checkers that we have in our Office 365 products. This is going to be great. You're going to review and check accessibility, and it will tell you the accessibility errors and warnings and tell you how to fix it. You can even have accessibility running throughout your presentation. As you see here at the bottom left, Accessibility Investigate. If you click that button, it will bring up the accessibility tab and it will show you the accessibility errors that you have. So we can run the accessibility checker on our presentations and in our documents. We want to make sure that we have appropriate color contrast. So this is what not to do. We want to make sure that we have appropriate color contrast so that individuals can read what we have on our slides. As mentioned earlier, we want to caption our videos and transcribe any audio recordings that we have. You can consider creating a script first and create your videos from that script. Also helps with leaving out those filler words that we like to use. You can also upload a video to Microsoft Stream, which is a part of our Office 365 accounts. It will create captions for you as well as a transcript. YouTube automatic captioning is also good. And both Microsoft and YouTube, they're pretty accurate. You do need to check them, but it's a good starting point. So whenever you upload videos to YouTube, they're automatically captioned. And you can share that YouTube link. If you want it to be unlisted, you can do that. You can share that with your students. If you teach an online course, our Office of Distributed Learning will create captions and transcripts for you. So if you teach an online course, our Office of Distributed Learning will caption and or transcribe your videos and audio. So you can contact them and they will do all of this for you. Office of Distributed Learning. Oftentimes, we like to save our documents to PDF. It's recommended that you use the File Save as PDF feature. That way, the accessibility techniques that you've implemented in your document will be saved when it's converted to Adobe PDF. So File Save as Adobe PDF. Oftentimes, when we scan a PDF, it's scanned as a picture. And if it's scanned as a picture, then a screen reader user will not be able to read the content of that PDF file. If you are unable to select any text in your PDF file, that means that it's a picture and cannot be read. So you will need to perform OCR, optical character recognition, on that file. So I have a few questions. Where do we get OCR software, or where is it available? OCR software is built into Adobe Professional. So if you have Adobe Professional on your computer, then you can run OCR on your PDF file. So Adobe Professional, you can get that from the university. I believe it's maybe $50 a year. Blackboard Ally. How many of you have seen gauges next to your files in Blackboard? They could be red, they could be orange, they could be light green, they could be dark green. Are any of you seeing these gauges next to your files and be wondering what does that mean? All right, so the majority of you are saying yes. So Blackboard Ally has accessibility gauges built within it. So red means your file is not accessible at all. Orange means, kind of accessible. Light green means more accessible. And dark green means really accessible. Excellent when you have that dark green. So you can strive for dark green when we upload files in Blackboard. When you click that gauge, it tells you an accessibility score. So for this particular file here, it tells me the PDF is scanned and it's 0% accessible. It tells you what it means and it tells you how to fix it. So if you click that gauge in Blackboard Ally, you will find out your accessibility score. You will find out why it's not accessible, and you'll find out how to fix it. You, as well as your students, can also download alternative formats with Blackboard Ally. And these are the 7 types of formats that can be downloaded from Blackboard Ally. So believe it or not, if you upload a Word document, students can listen to it in an MP3 version or use Braille, HTML, etc. All right, so let's work together to make a document accessible. I'm going to see how much you all remember and learn in this session regarding making documents accessible. All right, so I pulled up a document here, and if you need to make it bigger on your screen for Blackboard and Blackboard Collaborate here, there's a View Controls button at the top left. You can click that and you can zoom in. You can zoom in and zoom out if you want to make the document bigger on your screen. So I'm going to slowly scroll through the document, and I want you all to include in the chat how we can make this document more accessible, or what can we check on the document to make it accessible. All right, so I'm going to scroll slowly through the document, and you in the chat include what may not be accessible about this document or what we need to check in regards to accessibility in the document. All right, I see meaningful hyperlinks, serif fonts. You need to check the header, the list format. Somebody mentioned hyperlinks here. And I see we also have a table here as well. All right, we'll scroll right to the top. One of the things that I saw that you all mentioned was the text has serif fonts. Yeah, so this is Times New Roman, and Times New Roman is a serif font. And remember, the most accessible font type for reading online are sans serif font types. So I'm just going to do Home, select all. I'm going to change my font type to Arial. Arial is sans serif font type that I talked about earlier. All right, I also saw something about headings. Kelly mentioned, can't say about the list or the headings. All right, so I'm going to check the heading here, and I see that it looks like I just bolded this information, and there no headings are selected up here at the top. So since I already have my document structured like I want in terms of bolding, what I'll do is go up here and right-click where it says Heading 1 and say Update Heading 1 to match selection. So now when I click this Computer Applications and Business, the style is Heading 1. And remember, we only want to have one heading level 1 in our document. That's the title of our document. So here, we're going to make that heading level 2. So we'll right-click Heading Level 2 and say Update Heading 2 to match selection. And now when we click this, it's highlighted Heading 2. Let's go down. So now that we have our headings kind of set how we want in terms of formatting, when I click Course Description, I'll just simply click Heading 2. Prerequisites, Heading 2. Course Learning Outcomes, Heading 2. Scroll down, Required Textbook, heading 2, course overview and purpose, heading level 2, etc. If we go to view navigation pane, as I mentioned earlier, we can see our headings here. So let's just say I want to see the required textbook. I will click required textbook and I will go directly to that particular part in the document. We want to make sure that we use the built-in heading feature in Word. All right, someone else said hyperlinks. So let's check those out. So we have something here about the Student Success Center, and we have a hyperlink here. Remember, we want our hyperlinks to be meaningful. We want it to have meaningful text. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and copy this hyperlink. I will highlight where it says Student Success Center. I'll right click and say link, and then I will paste the link there. So now when a student accesses Student Success Center, they will know that that's a hyperlink that will take them to the Student Success Center's webpage. I also mentioned that if someone may be printing your document, you can have the hyperlink there, but have it as plain text. So what I'll do is I will delete this text here, right-click the hyperlink, remove the hyperlink, and I'll just put parentheses around the hyperlink. So now we have our hyperlink here. The hyperlink is plain text. So now we have a meaningful hyperlink. If someone prints out our document, they will also have the hyperlink listed there. Let's see if there's another hyperlink here. Oh, here's one about Adobe Reader. All right, so to say all documents are formatted in Word and or PDF. To view PDF documents, you need Adobe Reader. So what we'll do is go ahead and, as I did before, copy this hyperlink. I'll select the words Adobe Reader, right-click, link, paste, okay. I'll right-click the hyperlink and say remove hyperlink, and then I will include parentheses around the hyperlink. So if a screen reader user accesses this link, they will know they're going to the Adobe Reader webpage. All right, let's scroll down, see what else we have here. We have some hyperlinks, so we know how to do that now. Let's scroll back up. I think I missed something. Oh, here. Let's check to see. I'm going to go to home. Let's check to see if we use the pre-formatted list feature. It appears we do not because the list feature is not highlighted. So all we'll need to do is select the text and then click numbering. And now you're using the pre-formatted numbering feature. All right, I see there are a few questions on the different fonts that are better if you're going to be printing a document out. I know of. And Angelita, why remove the hyperlink from the label? We remove the hyperlink from the label because if a screen reader user accesses the hyperlink, it will read out the hyperlink and they may not know exactly where that hyperlink is going. The hyperlink could be really long and will not be describing where the hyperlink will be taking them. So say for instance, it's a really long hyperlink that you put into your syllabus or into your document. The screen reader will read out every single letter within that hyperlink, but then the screen reader user won't know where that hyperlink is taking them. So we want to make sure that the hyperlink is meaningful so that when they access the hyperlink, it will read out the text and they will know exactly where they're going when they access that hyperlink. All right, let's go down and we have a table here. So what we'll do is we'll select our table. We'll go to table design. Remember, we want to click header row. So we're clicking our header row here. We also want to go to layout and click repeat header row. So this table expands more than one page, and you will see here modules, assignments, due date is on every page of this table. I'm going to take repeated header row off and you will see that it's not there. But if I go back up, select repeat header row, our header row, modules, assignments, due date is on every single page. Modules, assignments, due date. So individuals will know exactly what's in those particular columns. All right, Buffy, am I correct that sans serif or acceptable fonts are simply fonts? Yes, that is correct. Sans serifs have those squiggly lines at the bottom of them. And that can be difficult for some individuals to read online. All right, is there anything else that we want to check in this document? I know I mentioned page numbers. You go to insert page number, top of page. Remember I said that is, best practice is to include the page number at the top of the page. And lo and behold, down here, it says accessibility good to go. But if we click it, it'll pop up here. No accessibility found. People with disabilities should not have difficulty reading this document. Just want to say great job to you all. We turned a document that was accessible into an accessible document. I'm going to show you a few things in PowerPoint, and then I'll open it up for questions because we have 10 minutes left. Okay, so here it says accessibility investigate. I'm just going to go ahead and click that button. And if you see here, we have our inspection results, which shows us the errors. So we have alt text is not included on our pictures. We have a missing slide title on this particular slide. And we also want to check the reading order. All right, I'm going to split that out. Okay. So if we go to review, check accessibility, reading order pane, this will show the order of the items that a screen reader will read the items on the PowerPoint slide. So for instance, for this particular slide, it will read the title first, this picture, then this picture, then that text box, then that text box, then that text box. So this is why it's important. If you are not using those built-in PowerPoint layouts to check the reading order of your slide content so that a screen reader user will read the correct order that the item should be in. So again, that's under review, check accessibility. So the title should be read first, then this picture. This text box here needs to be moved up. So we just select it and move it up. Then we have that picture, and then we'll move text box 9 up. Then we have that picture, and then that picture, and then that text box. So title, George Washington's wife with the text box, mother with the text box with it, father with the text box. All right, Buffy asks the best way to add alt text and format pictures. So that's one thing that we can do as well. So to do that, you will right-click the image and click View Alt Text. So what we'll include here, I will simply put George Washington's wife. When you insert alternative text, you do not need to use the words image or picture because a screen reader will announce that it is an image or a picture. So you do not need to put the words image or picture in the alt text. So you don't need to say image of George Washington's wife because a screen reader will already announce that it's an image. So once again, right-click an image, view alt text, and then type the information in the text box. But once again, if something is there just for decoration, then you can just click mark as decorative. All right, so I think we will stop there. Does it also announce a table or an Excel object? I believe it will announce a table and an Excel object. Yes, I believe so. I think it would say yes. All right, so that's what I have for you today. And I promised, so we have this here, and I will copy it and put it in the chat. And this handout includes the information that was discussed today. So we have 6 minutes left. What other questions do you have? I would like to thank you all for joining us in this session about creating accessible course content. Gloria has included the evaluation link in the chat. So please evaluate this session. Love to hear your feedback and your comments. If you have questions after the session, feel free to reach out to me. I'll include my email address in the chat. And once again, thank you all for joining us today. And I hope to hear from you. If you have questions, if you want to share any information, please do so. And I hope this takes you steps closer to creating accessible course content for your students.